In this video, I'm going to break down my buyer's guide for Civilization 6 and answer some frequently asked questions about this fantastic strategy game along the way. I'm going to break down the different editions for Civilization 6 and give you my buyer's recommendations on where to get the best deal and which DLC packages you should be picking up for Civ 6. We'll then move through to talk about different editions, platforms, and prices. Then, a quick look at some alternatives, the age-old Civilization 5 versus Civilization 6 conundrum, and some new contenders like Humankind game, and finally a look to the future. But for now, sit back and relax and let me offer you my brand new, updated Civilization 6 Buyer's Guide for 2022. If you enjoy strategy game content, please consider subscribing and joining our wonderful little community. And now, let's crack in with the video. Taking a look at the different editions on offer, you can see that the base game still does retail in places for $60 or 100 New Zealand. However, more often than not, given how old Civilization 6 is and how long it's been in the market, you will find if you turn to a page like Steam, there'll often be great discounts around these sale times, once every month or two at least. Let's take a look at the 4 different versions of Civilization 6 that you can buy. I'm going to break them down and then give you some recommendations. For starters, right at the top here, we have the Sid Meier's Civilization 6 base game. 85% off is its usual retail discount that will place you at around $8 to $10. Very cheap. I cannot recommend that highly enough. If you are new to the franchise, you'll be fine just getting the base game. Likewise, if price is a barrier to entry, grab this entry point too. The next option that you have down here is the Platinum Edition, and depending on what console or platform you're playing on, it may or may not bundle this package together and allow you to purchase it. It is still available on Steam. What it includes is essentially the initial main DLC packs for Civilization 6. It's these two here, Rise and Fall, and then Gathering Storm. It also includes various scenario packs that add extra civs or cultures that you can play at in Civilization 6, as well as some scenarios, maps, extra potentially strategic resources, city-states, that kind of thing. In general, these are not recommended to purchase on their own, but maybe there is a case for purchasing some of this DLC, specifically Gathering Storm on its own. I'll cover that in my 4th option. However, there is of course a more mainstream 3rd option, and this is the big new addition to my updated Civilization 6 Buyer's Guide. It's the Anthology bundle. This is the big bad boy that released after what they were calling the New Frontier Pass, which you can no longer buy as a standalone item on Steam, but it does still exist as a content package. However, the Anthology bundle adds everything, every single DLC extension, regardless of what you're labeling it as or what you're bundling it as. Every single culture, feature, wonder, and building is included in the Anthology, as well as, of course, the base game itself. This is the premier way to pick up Civilization 6. Take a look at all of the different content that is included in this pack. You get Rise and Fall, you get Gathering Storm, you get all of the early cultures from Australia to Persia, and all of the culture packs and game modes, crucially, that were included in Civilization 6's New Frontier Pass, the DLC that released between 2020 and 2021. This is the Ultimate Edition, and if you can stump up the price for this, you should definitely grab this. This is the Ultimate Collection, and I cannot recommend this enough. However, there is a sweet spot that I would like to add here before we move on to price, platform, alternatives, and the future of the franchise, and that is purchasing things individually. As I hinted at earlier, some of the individual culture packs that you can see here, in fact, if we jump back into the Anthology, it's arguably the best place to see it, don't add a huge amount of value. While they're on special though, they're fairly cheap to pick up. However, it's important to note at full price or even half price, you may not find value in these mostly negative user-reviewed packages that don't necessarily add a lot to the game. However, these ones that were released as part of the New Frontier Pass, you'll notice are mixed or even positively reviewed on Steam. That's because they added much more content, including new game modes, new ways to expand and challenge yourself and break the boundaries of the mold. If you would like to purchase some individual DLC packages to save a bit of money, or if you're not so sure about Civ, I would recommend though First and foremost, you grab obviously the base game, and then the second must pick up for me is Gathering Storm. This DLC pack kind of superseded and overrode a lot of the Rise and Fall content. I'd recommend you grab Gathering Storm and the Civilization 6 base game at a bare minimum for a very enjoyable, deep and detailed expansion. If you'd like the full experience, of course, you can't go wrong picking up the Anthology New Frontier Pass or just some of these additional culture gameplay packs. A quick note here for console players, Civilization 6 is of course available far and wide, the iOS to Nintendo Switch that you're seeing on screen, PlayStation Store, Xbox, etc. You won't find it on special as often for you, but it does come in at a lower price point, half the price that it retails at on something like Epic Games or Steam. Not a bad pickup, and again, you can find this on sale. My DLC recommendations, by the way, remain exactly the same, although the Anthology is a much more worthwhile investment on console. You can see it here on the PlayStation Store. It's the same too on the Switch Store. In general, when these things go discounted, grabbing the Anthology or the Anthological upgrade, if you've already got the base game, is a really great way to go here too. Do bear in mind, though, it can be a little bit more clunky on the Switch. Speaking of, let's switch gears and now consider the next question. Is there another game I should buy? Okay, I know what to do with Civ 6. What are my other options for 4X historical strategy games like Civ? First up, we should really address the elephant in the room, Civilization 5. I'm going to swap between that gameplay and this Civilization 6 gameplay while I discuss the two, because one of the important things that matters to a lot of consumers and people in the comments is the way that the games look. Civilization 5 is, of course, around 5 years older than Civ 6. It's around a 10-year-old game. It means it performs better, but arguably doesn't look as good. I argue that it more has a gritty art style, whereas Civilization 6, as you can see here, appears more vibrant and fun. And take it how you will, I personally don't mind, and I've completely adjusted to both of them. In fact, there's a way to mod them to look like each other. More on mods a little bit later in the video. Other recommendations with Civ 5 versus Civ 6 has to be the price point. Civilization 5, when it's at an 80% discount, is literally chump change. Pull it out from the back of the couch, here's $2. Whereas Civilization 6 is more expensive. However, my update for this year on my advice in this part of the video would be that Civilization 6 is now much closer to Civ 5. They both have complete editions. They both go 80 to 85% off on Steam. And I have to say, actually, that reflecting on both experiences now, I find it more and more difficult each time Civilization 6 gets updated or receives more content to argue that Civ 5 is a better deal. I think now they are both good entrance points into strategy games, and you should use the insights from my video and others, as well as your own feelings, to make your informed purchasing decision. I do also want to note that Civilization 6 has a much more wide-reaching, detailed and engaged modding community. However, Civ 5 does too, but Civ 6 is easier to interact with on Steam and such. I have a video on the best mods if you'd like to check that out. There is another elephant in the room, and this one, I argue, is carrying a Gatling gun on its back. It's Humankind. If you've checked my channel already, you'll know that I am quite a fan of this beautiful new 4X historical strategy game, Humankind, and the way it differentiates from Civilization 6 in its victory conditions that reward a journey rather than a destination, and its cultural system that allows you to change civs or cultures at each era, dynamically developing your gameplay. Both games have strengths and weaknesses, but if we are on the topics of graphics, performance, and price, it's worth noting Civilization cannot contend with Humankind on any of those fronts. It is the most expensive, arguably the most modern and beautiful, and of course, the most recent addition to the 4X historical strategy genre. Now, with Humankind, Civ 5 and Civ 6, we are absolutely spoilt for choice, and I hope that the buyer's recommendations in this video have helped you. However, this Civilization 7 is also worth discussing. Civilization 6 is now 6 years old, and if you're wondering, is there going to be more DLC for Civ 6? What else is going to come for Civ 6? It seems at this point that the answer is, unfortunately, no. We are seemingly looking to the future with the anthology released. Firaxis and the team behind Civ made it very, although not completely clear, that Civilization 6's development is finished and wrapped up. Speaking of wrapping up, that does conclude this video. If you enjoyed it, again, please do consider subscribing and joining our little community, and I will catch you in the very next 4X historical strategy game video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.